My affection for the Tuono V4 is well documented on the pages of MO, and I'll jump at any chance to take one for a ride on a twisty road. If the ride is in Italy on an upgraded and faster version, well, step aside. When it comes to lust-worthy street fighters, Aprilia's Tuono V4 is one of our favorites around here. It's epitomized the class ethos of stripping a superbike of its bodywork and fitting a higher handlebar to create a raw sports roadster, first in 2002 with a version of the RSV1000 V-twin, then in 2011 when a crazier Tuono debuted based on the RSV4's four-cylinder motor. Retuned for street fighter duty. Don't say detuned. The Tuono's V4 motor pumped out 150 horsepower and outpulled the RSV4 engine at all points of their power bands below 12,000 RPM, as seen on the dyno chart in our review of the 2012 model. To MO editors, the Tuono's appeal is so strong that we couldn't declare our choice for Best Street Fighter of 2014 until we had a chance to throw it in next to KTM's 1290 Super Duke R and BMW's S1000R. Ultimately, the Tuono didn't win our objective comparison, but it excelled in subjective voting. For 2015 in the US labeled as a 2016 model, the Tuono V4 gets a comprehensive upgrade, most obviously by a larger engine via a 3mm overbore to 1077 cubic centimeters. Torque is now up to a claimed 89.2 lb-ft at 9000 rpm when rated at its crankshaft, formerly 88.3 at 9500, and horsepower rises by a quintet, now to a claimed 175 ponies. Most notable is the bump in mid-range power, nearly 20 extra horses at 8000 rpm, according to Aprilia. It's a spec that feels believable when twisting the throttle on the tight roads surrounding the Misano World Circuit Marco Simoncelli, where I was to test Aprilia's significantly updated RSV4 later in the day. The Tuono's luscious motor now responds with much greater urgency in its middle revs and makes an admirable wheelie machine even more eager to float its front wheel. Like its RSV4 brother, the Tuono 1100 is fitted with new Pankel conrods that combine for 400 grams less weight, a new crankshaft with smaller diameter crankpins but 450 grams of additional weight, and a new crankcase with better ventilation to reduce parasitic drag. The Tuono has always been a tall bike for such a compact and sporty roadster, but this new iteration has been made slightly lower by tweaks to its fully adjustable Sachs suspension, fork tubes raised in the triple clamps, with 5mm extra offset, and a new shock for the rear. These alterations steepen the rake angle from 25.1 degrees to 24.7 degrees and reduce trail from 107.4mm to 99.7mm, quickening steering responses and reducing the Tuono's overall center of gravity. Its swing arm is said to be 6mm longer, while its wheelbase is up a scant 3mm. A side benefit of the Tuono's lower stance is a seat height reduced by about half an inch, 15mm, to 32.5 inches. It's still tall but a bit more manageable. The seat padding is a new foam material that prevents hardening from crystallization, and it feels a bit comfier than on previous generations. Ergonomics are marginally altered via handlebars narrower by 6mm and purportedly slightly lower, but it must be a marginal change because I didn't notice a difference. What I did notice was one of my all-time favorite powertrains and its newfound burliness. Clutch take-up is quite manageable, and its slick gearbox impresses. Upshifts are seamless thanks to well-sorted quick-shifter programming. The real highlight is the sonic delight of the 65-degree V4 engine, which is nothing short of rapturous and, to my ears, is worth many extra dollars. With the 1100's motor mods, Aprilia has made this engine even more enjoyable. Its boosted mid-range is impossible to ignore and makes for a scintillating ride. What might be a feral animal is tamed via the third generation of Aprilia Performance Ride Control electronic rider aids teamed with a more powerful ECU. The ride mode choices loses the power clipping rain mode and is replaced by a new road mode in addition to track and sport maps. Each map was retuned to deliver less aggressive responses to good effect. I selected track mode and was pleased at how manageable it performed. Each ride mode also has its own engine brake management parameters to work along with the tranny's slipper clutch. The APRC suite of electronic rider aids include the latest generation of traction control, adjustable on-the-fly, wheelie control, and launch control. Aprilia gets bonus points for the independent operation of TC and WC. I'm much more interested in the benefits of TC than WC, and I promise this will be the only test of a Tuono written by me that doesn't include a wheelie shot. The Tuono 1100 also shares with the RS-V4 the V4 MP app that links your smartphone to the bike. This gizmo records data like speeds, gears and throttle positions, plus display things like rear wheel slip, lean angle, and G-force data. And when used on a racetrack, the Bleeding Edge app can be used to select different TC and WC settings at various points around the track like a MotoGP bike. It's ironic that a tech-packed motorcycle like the Tuono 1100 is equipped with an instrument panel that seems like it's been around as long as my second grader. The boxy LCD display looks dated next to contemporary panels, especially those of the TFT variety. But, really, this is one of the few demerits and a barely mentionable one to this brilliant sporting machine. The Tuono's other demerit concerns weight. Aprilia's specs state the 1100 has lost 2 pounds, now claimed to scale in at 406 pounds without any fluids or a battery. However, our last Tuono pushed the scales with 474 pounds of mass with its 4.9-gallon tank full, 24 pounds more than a fueled BMW S1000R. Otherwise, the Tuono 1100RR is a gem of a naked sport bike that can tackle everything from commuting to track days to sport touring. Its dynamic and playful personality delivers a smile per mile rating in the upper echelon of what's possible from a sporting motorcycle.